Yeah.
All right. Last one, Clary Sage.
Mhm.
And I looked on the internet. There's nothing in the blog about Clary Sage.
Hmm.
So 25 words or less. What can you tell me about Clary Sage?
Very, very good nerving. Good for the nerves. Good for helping to step out of the logical mind. Like it can be kind of calming to the mind, going over to the intuitive mind. Antispasmodic can help with calming and soothing the nerves. Can help with spasms and things in the body.
Mhm.
Um, I always find that it sets the space for a person to be able to sit with something more genuine rather than the story. Um, a lot of times it's combined with something in a case like that, but
Yeah.
even by itself, it's good for that. And then also women's like cycle issues, be it cramping, irregular cycle, excessive or reduced menstrual flow, anything of that nature. Clary Sage can be very helpful. Bottom line, you could also just say reduction of stress. You could
Okay.
easily just say it reduces stress and the stress response.
Okay. Claire was looking on the internet and found an internet advertisement for Clary Sage, and they claimed that it was coming from Japan, and that it was particularly useful for brain development, brain activity.
Mhm.
Um, any input on that?
Bringing activity for like somebody who's young or
Yeah.
somebody,
Yep.
somebody that was young. Uh, I'd have to go through and look. Like it would just be a
Okay.
guess on my part.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm not familiar with a Clary Sage coming out of Japan.
Okay.
Sometimes what
I was a little skeptical when I read
yeah.
some of this stuff,
Yeah. I
but
mean, there are oils that come out of Japan. That's
mhm,
one that I'm not familiar with. But
okay.
sometimes what happens is they buy it, import it, and then re-export it.
Hmm.
So it really wasn't grown in a particular place. Like you
Yeah.
see this with roses sometimes. You see it with sandalwood in India a lot.
Hmm.
It's it's just one of those things where it depends. It doesn't mean that it's not happening there. I mean, they could be
Yeah.
cultivating it, but yeah. I mean, the like sages in general are are good for the nervous system, for the neurotransmitters. They're neuroprotective. I've never and Clary Sage kind of does that, but doesn't quite fall into the realm of normal sages. But
Hmm.
I've never heard of it as for brain development. Usually there's a handful of oils that you use for youngsters, and Clary Sage usually isn't a normal thing you would use. Doesn't mean that you couldn't, but like it's a little bit different doing therapy on children versus an adult. Like
Hmm.
you don't need to be so like aggressive or strong with the treatment with a child, unless there's a really severe health issue.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, things for brain development. Let me look into that.
Yeah.
I was just chatting with a buddy of mine, the old medical aromatherapist guy, and we were talking about the old timers. And let me run that up the flagpole and see if there's
Okay.
some information that they could kick our way about that.
I'm particularly interested in, you know, maintaining brain activity, brain acuity,
For yourself or for a child?
for myself.
Oh,
Okay,
sage.
being
Do sage.
sages.
Yeah. So
Okay,
all the
just
different
straight sage. Yeah.
Spanish sage, Dalmatian, like whichever one,
Hmm.
sages, basil, rosemary. You could throw petitgrain in there, and then the brainwaves, like, work the brainwaves. The brainwaves will be helpful. Even cinnamon can be super helpful for
Okay.
brain function. But like for me, they all do something. They're all very good, right? The sage is more neuroprotective and is one of the best things for brain fatigue. And for a youngster, brain fatigue usually isn't an issue. But as we grow and we get older and we have trauma, emotion, or whatever, that neuroprotective component for the brain starts to become more and more of a thing to do. And so it doesn't have to be every day, but just 3-4 drops on the wrist and call it good. Like, if you want to inhale it a little bit, even better. But some days I inhale it, some days I don't. But almost every day I put at least 3 or 4 drops on my wrist. I mean, I have one bottle here on my desk when I teach, that I put it on through the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that's just a go-to thing for protecting the brain as we get older. Like, and then the other thing, stepping out of the essential oil realm, lion's mane, that mushroom lion's mane, super good
that.
Super good for your brain. And even the bacopa, that bacopa that we had, be it the herb or the oil, taking that also super good for your brain. Super good for your brain.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.